States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just meeting this meeting is recorded by the NRSD in conjunction with Templeton Community TV, TCTV, and it is provided to Templeton employees for Access TV. We'll start off with approval of minutes. The June 26th minutes that appear here will be done at the next meeting. There was a technical issue and they were lost after them, and Mrs. Varney needs some time to piece them together. So we will have them. We do have 3 other sets of minutes. We'll start with the Finance Subcommittee meeting of July 2nd. When anyone's ready, I would entertain a motion to approve those minutes. Motion by a second. Does anyone need some time to review? I know we have those in advance. Okay, seeing no one, all in favor of approving the minutes of July 2nd Finance Subcommittee meeting as written, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? That was unanimous. I would next entertain a motion for approving the meeting minutes of July 2nd, our regular meeting on July 2nd, as written.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
And I have a second. Any discussion or anyone want a few extra minutes just to look through them? Okay, seeing no one indicating they do, I will, all in favor of approving the meeting minutes, of July 2nd, as written, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Unanimous. Okay. And the last set of minutes was from the meeting of July 8th. I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the meeting of July 8th.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
And I have a second. Any discussion or anyone need a couple of minutes just to look through? Okay, seeing nobody. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Passes unanimous. Bills and payroll. I would entertain a recommendation to accept the bills and payroll warrants as presented.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
And I have a second. Any questions or comments on the bills and payroll? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion passes unanimous.
We did our homework, Margaret.
Did, I know, I'm very excited. Next, we will have a public input period. I just want to remind everybody that we have a 3-minute per person or group limit. We do ask you to come up front and identify who you are and where you live. And we are only entertaining comments on items on our agenda. So if you have anything else that you'd like to address, you certainly are welcome to either contact the superintendent's office or email any of us to discuss things. Do I have anyone that would like to come forward for public input? Please. Yep.
Hi, my name is Julie Kibbe. I live at 207 Lord Road in Templeton. I just wanted to, I have a couple of points here. I don't want to sugarcoat it, but I think the choice to change the budget ahead of the special town meeting by the Board of Selectmen was the wrong choice. I feel like it was kind of a waste of time. And I feel like my time is valuable, which is why I'm sitting here in front of you. I also would encourage you to reject the $6.4 million budget that the town approved at the meeting. I think that that is further slapping the school in the face, and I don't want to put the town versus the state, or the town versus the school in flux, but I think that the 6.4 is a ridiculous number to try to meet after the reductions that were made and the sacrifices that were made to get to the 6.9. I also would like to say that I would like to promote and enable the $7.4 million budget for years moving forward and potentially an override. I think that we need to get in front of the voters who are commuting from further away. We need to get their voices, and we need to have some kind of committee or action from parents to try to gather those voters and speak on behalf of the people who are most involved at the school with young kids there. One more thing, I just wanted to say that, 2 more things, sorry. I think that a joint session between the Board of Selectmen and the school committee would be helpful for the townspeople and the parents to understand and be able to have an opportunity to ask the questions that need to be asked, because I understand this is not the right forum, but those questions still remain in some cases unanswered, and I want a chance to ask those and have some of our townspeople who are very confused about the goings-on have that opportunity to ask. And then lastly, I just want to say, I had the opportunity today to tour the new school. It's beautiful. You guys did a great job. We appreciate what you're doing for the town, for the kids, and I wanted to thank you, each and every one, for being their advocates. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to come down for any public input? Sure. You'll be next, Christine.
Gail Newell, Winchester Street. And I would just like to say that whatever you decide financially tonight, it doesn't affect just the students or the parents of students. It affects every single, not only taxpayer, but every resident in town. It really does. And from what I understand, you know, we can only budget 2.5% over last year's amount, you know, from a taxpayer's point of view, without an override. And we're, you know, 30% of our town is over 65. So, you know, please keep that in mind.
Christine, did you want to come next?
I wrote earlier, Christine Bennett from Phillipston. I don't know if it's too late for this year, but I'm wondering if it could ease concerns and tensions on both sides of both towns, if there was any way to split each town's assessment such that Phillipston would pay for all the operating costs of Phillipston Memorial, Templeton would pay for all of TC. That way it's more clean cut. Nobody has to say, oh, well, we're paying for 20% of your school, you're paying for 80% of ours. Not that back and forth. And then each town pays per student for the district costs. I just don't know if that would be more politically fair. And, you know, people keep saying Phillipston gets to keep its small class sizes that we've always had just because we're a smaller town. I just wonder if that would be more fair in the long run, if it's possible to rework the numbers and show people exactly what are the costs of each building that they're voting for. It might help them understand the numbers better and take more responsibility for each of their own buildings.
I will actually just respond to that only because procedurally, I think it would be important for anyone who's listening to understand procedurally what would happen. The state has a standard allocation methodology that we follow that we can present to the towns based upon what's outlined in our agreement, and it's the standard allocation methodology. In order to use an alternative assessment methodology, both towns have to vote on it and agree to it annually, even if it's in your agreement. And that would probably require an amendment to the agreement to happen first. So just from your timing perspective, it's probably too late at this point for this year, but it is a very good question, something that I think that we could possibly take a look at in the near to shorter to nearer term.
Anyway, you know, let's hammer it all out at once. You know.
So, but thank you. Yes.
Mary Enstrom, Highland Avenue, Baldwinville. I realize what got passed at the town meeting is way below what the school wanted. But even if you vote down what they wanted, please consider that you really do need to make some more cuts, because right now we're looking at losing policemen and firemen. Forget the senior center, as much as I love it. But you really need those fire and policemen. So if you decide to turn down this new budget and go back to the table, please, please try to make some deeper cuts, because the whole town needs the fire and the police. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else want to speak tonight? Okay, seeing no other hands up, we'll move on to our next agenda item. I have a placeholder here for the NDEA if we had a rep that wanted to come down and speak. I see Mrs. Parker here. Do you have anything that you, everybody's happy taking That's what we like to hear right now in the summer. Thank you. Okay. Our first point of regular business ongoing, our open meeting law complaint update. When we last met, we had received the response from our counsel that she had written on our behalf. It has since been signed and sent over to the Templeton's town attorney, their counsel, as well as to the appropriate people within the town, so that I believe the select board's probably received our response. But I did just want to go on record in public as to more of the details, because we really didn't discuss it at the last meeting, since we had a lot on our plate. The question came and the complaint was raised that our meeting was not posted properly. Therefore, the question was, is whatever business that we had done at that meeting, was it valid or not? As we looked at this, we had replied that no, we felt that we were good, and then a formal complaint came in that we have to address through the Attorney General office. Again, we had our counsel come to us and prepare the information so that we made sure we didn't put a comma in the wrong place in our response. Basically, the allegation, we have enough documentation showing that our meetings are properly posted. For anyone that wants to see any information about our postings, they are on the district's website. And we had done all that properly back in 2013. We put notices there. The town also is responsible for letting the residents know where they can find our postings. As a courtesy, we then just alerted the town clerks once again to make sure that the right information was available to the residents, and it would be updated to make sure everyone was in compliance with all the posting pieces. So that was our response, and we sent that letter off. We haven't heard anything back if there was any other questions or comments on that. So I think as of right now, we should be okay with this. If anything else comes up, obviously we will alert the committee if we hear anything back. So I wanted to give that update. Next item is, I'm sorry, did anyone want and have any comments or questions? I should ask that before I move on. No, sorry. Next item is our FY20 budget. Just as a recap, the town of Templeton had their special town meeting last week, of which they approved a budget for the school committee, the school district that was less than what we had asked for. It was about $487,000 less than what we've asked for, which means we do not have an approved budget. We have two choices to us tonight. We can recertify a budget that either meets that number or is lower than that number, and we're done. We can also recertify a budget at a current number, at any number above what they've approved. We can go higher than our number. We have anything above the number that the town of Templeton approved, and that will bring us to a district-wide town meeting. So what we have to do on our agenda this evening is decide what we would like to do with our number first, and then we can talk through whatever the processes will be that we'll need to follow in order to make whatever that vote that we do take happen.
I'd like to make a motion that we recertify the number 6.9, our original budget number, 6978.408.
Second.
Okay, just a point of clarification, we actually don't need to recertify. If we stick with our number, we actually don't need to recertify that. I just want to, so just from a motion perspective, perhaps you could offer a friendly amendment to just keep with our number, just so that we put the right motion on the floor.
Okay, I understood we had to recertify,
Nope.
so if it is, keep the number that we had.
Second.
That was certified.
Okay, actually Deb had seconded. We good with that? Okay, everybody good with that? Right, Hank, I'm good process-wise.
Do we have to do a roll call?
Yeah, right after discussion, yeah.
Yep, okay, but we don't need to recertify if we keep that number, correct? Since it's already certified, we're not recertifying, it's already certified, so that's,
I believe, yeah.
makes sense for everybody? Okay. Okay, so I have a motion on the floor that we stick with the number of we stick with our budget number of, and let me find the overall number because I want to say that out loud.
Whoa. There goes a couple.
Okay.
got it right here, Marty.
Oh, awesome, thank you. So we have a motion on the floor that we are going to retain the budget that we've already certified on June 4th for a total of $19,786,889,000, which then represents an allocation to the town of Templeton of $6,978,408, and an allocation to the town of Phillipston for $1,654,937. So that's what we have on the table. So what discussion, who would like to speak?
Thinking it might be a good idea to meet with the selectmen before we do this. I'd like to maybe hash out something with them before we go to a dual town meeting. I'm just thinking that might be worthwhile. Go ahead.
They didn't hash out anything before that special town meeting and presented that 6.4 million.
I know that.
I understand what you're saying, Hank, but they put that on the floor, never even presented the original number.
Exactly. What exactly do you think we need to hash out?
Well, I am just trying to figure out, because I know what their physical position is in town. You know, we always use our free cash, almost all of it, all the time, and I'm just wondering what they have, and, that wasn't brought up at town
They have
meeting.
a lot of money, and they're trying to save it because they don't want to use it like they've done in the past. They've
Yeah.
learned from their mistake.
Sure.
And they don't want to use it again and put themselves in the position that they've got themselves into, and that's what they're trying not to do.
Right, but no one's asking them to use all their money either. Right?
Correct.
So,
But they don't want to
Just-
use it at all.
I just wanted to get that conversation again. That was my thought. But
I believe that Mr. Terrazini also mentioned that as June 30th, their certified free cash was no longer available for use. So I don't even think that that's on the table as a possible funding source. And my understanding is that would be a true statement based on what I know about the municipal law. And I don't know if there's any other way around that, so.
Okay, all right, well, that answers that. Okay.
Anyone else, comment or question before we vote?
Yeah, actually, I just want to say that, I do appreciate all the comments from the public. I appreciate them. I appreciate the emails that have come through. I think that this committee here has worked very hard to get to the number that we're at. We've made a lot of cuts. We really did, to bring it to the number where we are. We were asked, actually last year we were asked, in working with the Board of Selectmen from both towns to start this process early. I just want to be clear that this, it was not a surprise. In the 2.5% that we're talking about, this was not a surprise. I mean, the Board of Selectmen was well aware of the fact that Templeton Center has been offline for several years now, and that this new school was going to be, there was going to be additional costs above the 2.5% to bring the school online. So I just want to say that this committee here, we've taken that very seriously. We've said it from the beginning. We've been talking about it. We've been working with both committees, with both selectmen, and I'm firm that I'm clear that we should stick with the number that we certified on June. Yeah, thank you. That's it. I'm good.
Anyone else?
Okay, we do need to recap. I'm sure everybody knows, but that wasn't our original number.
That was not our.
That was not our original number. We did cut over $500,000.
100,000.
So we have made cuts.
Not only have we made cuts, we've actually also done things that we were really not right on board with to bring
Training
class
is your
sizes
choice.
back in line where where we think that they should be. So.
Anybody else? Okay, seeing no further discussion, the motion on the floor is to retain our certified budget number of $19,786,889 from the June 4th certification and move forward, which will then trigger, which we'll talk about after, a district-wide town meeting. I will do a roll call vote. Sorry, Mr. Mason.
Aye.
Mrs. Mattson?
Yes.
Mrs. Robichaud? Yes. Mrs. Kosher?
Yes.
Mrs. Triplowitz?
Yes.
Mrs. Chartier?
Yes.
Mr. Marks?
Yes.
And Mrs. Hughes says yes. It was unanimous that we will be sticking with our 19786-889 number. So the next question is what that means for the district-wide town meeting. So according to the law and what we have to do, excuse me while I find my sheet, here we go. We have to prepare a warrant that needs to be certified and all this other stuff. The constables are going to have to post it. And we need to post that at least 14 days prior to the date of the meeting. It needs to go into at least one newspaper in general circulation with the member municipalities. And looking at what our current towns do, I believe the town of Templeton utilizes the Gardner News, where the town of Phillipston utilizes the Athol Daily News. So we will need to prepare a notification once we get all the details together and the warrant put together. The other thing that needs to happen is it needs to get posted in a public place in both municipalities. We will follow what the towns utilize. I believe the town of Templeton uses the board outside the town hall. It's also on their website. And then the 3 post offices, if I remember correctly. The town of Phillipston utilizes the board outside the town hall, the town library, as well as the King Philip. And again, we'll have the constables from each town take care of posting the actual warrant in the places they need to be with plenty of time for that 14-day notification. The warrant needs to state the time, place, and purpose of the meeting. I think purpose is pretty self-evident. The time and place, I was looking at a calendar just to be prepared to come up with a potential date to start with. And I was looking at maybe August 21st. Which is 4 weeks away. It gives us all the time to get everything posted, advertised, and get the word out to people that it's happening so we ensure that everybody has the ability to participate. Is that a date that would work for?
What day of the week is it?
It's a Wednesday. And we actually have a meeting the week before, so.
The 14th?
The 14th,
Really?
right. And the nice thing about that is if the governor ever signs a budget, I don't see anything in the conference committee coming out that leads us to believe we're going to get any sum of money that's of any interest. But maybe something else will happen, and then we can reconvene as a committee before that to decide if there was something else we could do on the floor. So does the 21st work for everybody? And just a time, what time?
What time?
Madam Chair, would you want to stay with the time that is traditionally used, for example, for the special town meeting that just happened?
Is that 7? I think that makes sense. So we will look to have Wednesday, August 21st at 7 p.m. for our special town meeting. There will be one article on the warrant, and I believe that we actually have found what's interesting is the last time we did this was in 2013, and it was on August 22nd that year, so now it's just kind of interesting. So we have this as a model. I know that we'll need to vet it through council first. We will also need to have the school committee sign this warrant before it can get posted, so that'll give us a chance to get council to just make sure this is still good. And then we can come in within maybe this week and the next 4 or 5 days to get it signed so it can get posted with that 14-day notice in advance. Does that work for everybody? Okay, and I'll talk with Dr. Casavant and Ms. Varney after this logistically about how we'll make and notify everybody and get that done. A few other things that do need to happen as I was rereading through this. Obviously, it'll be in the auditorium, right? That will be where it will be. We also need to have a moderator, either a town moderator or any person acceptable to the boards of selectmen. So the next step that Dr. Casavant gets to undertake as the secretary of the committee is to coordinate a meeting with both select boards where they can vote whoever shows up. It's a simple majority, and decide on who the moderator of the meeting will be. So Dr. Casavant, obviously we ask you to take care of working with the select boards to get that to happen because you are required by law to keep the minutes of that meeting. So once we get to district-wide town meeting, it requires the affirmative vote of at least a majority of those present by a counted vote. So again, it is a simple majority by a counted vote, which means we're going to also need the help of our town clerks and the election workers that will go along with making sure that people get checked in, that we have a section, to the side, so if they're not a resident, that someone's making sure that they are the residents. So we'll also need to reach out to the towns and get that into place.
Are you going to have a piece of paper for voting? Because
Well,
people are going to want a
yes.
hand count?
Yes,
I mean,
so,
more than a
yes,
hand count?
they will be, I'm sure there will be multiple pieces of paper in case there's multiple votes. I think usually we prepare with, I know in Phillipston we usually have a couple of them handy in case there are counted votes. So I'm sure that the town clerks, and we can discuss all the logistics with them, what will work and what will make the meeting run. But no, that's definitely a good point.
We need to plan an overflow place, probably the cafeteria.
Okay.
And
Yep.
filming.
And a film, yep, filming it, okay.
So that it shows in the camera.
Live
They can
live
vote.
feed, live feed, yeah.
At the meeting, again, it's a simple majority vote. If the vote passes, and it passes, the number passed is what this number is that we already have certified, then in fact, we have an approved budget. The towns will be notified by the treasurer, as they normally are with the allocations, and then it goes back to the towns to work on it from their end. If it doesn't pass at the number we've certified, we will get together and we could do the whole process over again. Dr. Casavant has the fun of just advising the Department of Ed once again that we went through the process and it didn't work out and we'll be doing it again. So he gets to make that phone call and we get to come back and see each other once again and schedule another district-wide town meeting if it comes to that. If the number is passed, that is not the number that we have certified, we also can come back and we can certify at that number. So we have the option of accepting a number at that point that may be different from what is on our warrant. So if we decide to amend it for whatever reasons, and we're agreeable to whatever the amendment is, we have the opportunity to recertify at that number, and then we move forward with an approved budget once again. But again, the only way that we avoid having to come back as a committee to do anything is if the number is approved at that 19,786 number that we read. Does that make sense to everybody?
I have a question.
Sure.
So if at the district meeting, both towns agree to a number, but it's not our number, it comes back to us, we
can choose to certify it, or we can choose to certify a different number or stick with our number, and then we kick off another district-wide town meeting. So we could just like an endless loop. And of course, as we know, if it gets to December 1 and Dr. Casavant has finally made the phone call saying we don't have a budget, that is when the Department of Ed will step in and tell us what that budget number is. All right, any other questions or comments on the meeting? If anyone thinks of anything, because we were all trying to brainstorm like what we did at the last district-wide town that you think of that we might have forgotten, just, let us know.
Just a question.
Sure.
Do we have another meeting on the books, and should we schedule one now?
We
Or
have,
should
well, we
14th?
meet the 14th, this will be the 21st. I think on the 14th, we can probably look to, yeah,
Follow up.
exactly.
Okay.
And we'll put it on the books.
I know this is out of turn. Can school choice parents vote at the district meeting?
Unfortunately not, it's only registered voters of the two towns, the member municipalities.
I thought because it was district, it would be
No, and it's the member towns, so unfortunately you're not. You're welcome to come and sit and listen. But unfortunately there's not a vote at that point. So. Anything else? Okay. Our next point of order was school choice. We had said we would just regroup and discuss school choice and see if we wanted to make any other changes or at this point kind of just let things go for now. I know that we've acted upon some of the school choice votes that we had taken, so we'll need to probably make some other things, but I think we can wait till the August meeting on the 14th, unless someone feels like they want to have another discussion now about school choice.
No. I don't.
No? Okay. So that'll be on the agenda for the 14th, that we can look at what we have for potential space and where we want to go. Okay. And then the last thing on our business agenda is just school committee PD. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend the Equity Institute a couple weeks ago that MASC had, so I don't have anything to bring back, but I know they're going to be putting a lot of information online that I will, when I find it, I'll share with everybody. There seem to be some really interesting topics. And then the second piece for the joint conference, everyone who asked is signed up, so we've got that done. We've got to talk accommodations.
I've made the reservations.
Okay, so that's been done. We do need to talk about if there's any of the events or, at this point, yeah, you know what, I looked, I couldn't find one to try and save us any money.
Okay.
We typically do, I think, one of the dinners, because I think Jeff Riley is the keynote speaker with the Commissioner of Department of Ed. So we can talk about that at our next meeting, because we still have time to sign up. And the other thing is I am presenting again on Wednesday. We have a Mars-Masbo joint presentation, so if anyone can get there Wednesday to come.
What time?
It's either 1:50 or 3 o'clock.
Okay.
They haven't set the thing yet, so. Okay, school committee comments. Anybody have any comments? Yes, Ms. Matthew.
I do. I just wanted to take a moment to express my concerns in the light of this year's controversial school budget process and the certified budget amount. It has been very disappointing as a representative of the town of Templeton to sit on this board year after year and basically be told that the school district lies and cheats our member towns out of their tax money. This year was exceptionally frustrating to listen to so many say that the school committee or the superintendent makes decisions behind closed doors and that the perception from townspeople is that we are not transparent. However, all of our meetings have been open to the public, recorded and available on Channel 8 and on YouTube. And I feel that our members from Phillipston were totally disrespected when a campaign to recall elected officials, the school committee members, surfaced along with Facebook rants in which many spewed in misinformation. With that was the threat of each town looking to pull out of the district and to end the regionalization of Narragansett. With that being said, I fear, and this is my own opinion, that this is the beginning of the end of our district as we know it. We have been accused of not sharpening our pencils, not taking taxpayers into consideration, even though we all live in these towns and pay the same taxes, and have been accused of not representing our towns appropriately. I fear that as each of our terms end and come up for re-election, whether you choose to run again or not, there will be a new candidate from each town ready to take our seats. Not to continue the good work for our district and students, but solely to protect the towns and the taxpayers. I predict that incoming school choice will tank and school choice leaving the district will increase. To replace this board with all new members, especially ones who only care about cutting the bottom line, would be detrimental to the district. And as a member of the long-term planning subcommittee, I would like to recommend that we discuss ways to sustain our level of education, keep class sizes low, retain our school choice, address the ongoing budget increases and budget constraints that we face.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well said, Lori.
Any other comments? I have a couple.
Yeah, I just had one. I want to thank the citizens that have corresponded on email. It's and come to our many, many meetings, as you sit here now. We are here for the kids, your kids, and so it is very important and helpful to hear from you. So I thank you.
Second. So, I just have a comment. I just wanted the committee to be aware of the fact that Phillipston is having a special town meeting next Wednesday, and I wanted the committee to understand there's 3 specific warrant articles that have an impact to a potential impact to the school district, and I don't know if anyone outside of Phillipston has had a chance to look at these, so I wanted to bring to your attention. The first article is the town of Phillipston is looking to propose an amendment to the school district agreement, which would keep K-5 in the respective towns, and basically tying the hands of the school committee where we couldn't even override that without another amendment change. In the cases of special needs and certain other things with parental consent, a move could be made, but otherwise K-5 has to stay in their own town. So that's the first one. The second article of interest to the school committee is to petition the general court for special legislation providing recall of elected members of the Narragansett Regional School District School Committee. Phillipston has put this in. I don't know the legalities of this since we are governed by a district agreement. So I don't have any further information other than they're looking to, in a town, Massachusetts has no provisions for recalls. A town is governed by its charter. Any town who wants to enact recall provisions must make a change to the town charter, and it takes a legislative action to do so. Phillipston itself in 1990 did pass a recall provision. Templeton probably around the same time did. It seemed that 1990 was like the trigger year, something happened, and like most every town in the Commonwealth put in some recall provisions. I don't know the legality of this since we're a regional district and we're our own municipality, so I can't offer any more than just saying this is on here. If it does pass, it would go to the Attorney General, and then they would have to petition one of our legislators to put this forth to the legislation to pass it into law. The third article was a citizen's recommendation that was to direct the Select Board of Phillipston to obtain an agreement from Templeton regarding Phillipston Elementary School students. What this was is that the town of Templeton would swear that would not seek or accept monetary payments from the town of Phillipston to help pay for their new elementary school should Phillipston students be assigned there. It's not a binding thing, but I wanted to make you aware of this is what was on the article. I don't know what anyone in town will vote for as far as if it'll pass, but there are those three items on the warrant that I wanted everyone to be aware of. So.
And when is this meeting?
The 31st, so next Wednesday at 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock in the Phillipston School gym. So. All right. Anything else? Any other comments by the school committee? Yes.
For that Article 2, the provisions for the recall in the school committee, was that a provision for their elected officials or specifically for school committee members?
It's specific to school committee, and it addresses some of the crosstown voting things. But again, I don't know I don't know where this would need to be, if it would need to be in both towns, charters, or agreement.
Do they have a provision right now for recalling
for
selectmen?
their elected, yes, for the elected officials, they do, for all elected officials. It's interesting because the provisions in this recall article here are much more stringent than the ones for the regular town members, and I question that. How can you have two sets of standards? But again, we'll see what happens. It's got to pass first, and then we'll go from there, I guess. Any other questions or comments from the committee? No? Okay. Next up, new business. We didn't have any when we set this agenda 48 hours ago, but I'll throw it out to Dr. Casvan because we haven't even said hello to you tonight.
Hello. I like that. That's okay.
I know. If there was anything that you wanted to put out and inform us of?
We are sort of kind of near the completion, or in terms of occupancy. Teachers will be allowed to open up their, just get the stuff out of the boxes, that type of drill. So that comes at a very good time. August 1st is generally the bewitching hour. All teachers awaken from slumber and figure out that we've got school coming soon. So all of the moves have been made. I won't talk about school choice specifically, but we've done our task, and we've reached out to fill the classrooms, etc., through school choice and otherwise, and we've met. We've filled most of our spots, and I would say that we're going to continue to go. We are We'll be more prepared next time to give you a report of how many students or, parents we've contacted and told them that we do have school choice and this is where the location is, and we'll give you a breakdown, because there are some people who have not gotten back to us yet because it's, people are on vacation, so we'll be more prepared to do that. I will tell you that if, that we're sitting at, right now, district residents, this does not include school choice. We're at 1,182 residents, district-wide. 1,000, it just happened to be this way, from Templeton, 182 from Phillipston, district-wide. Currently, we have 279 students that have committed to school choice, giving our district total around 1,461. Now, it's July, so I will say to you that the ebb and flow will really start to pick up. And this number's changed 4 times today in 8 hours. It literally has. So when we get closer, we'll have a better view to that. But we still have a very healthy interest in the district. We still are receiving phone calls. We still are receiving applications. We're still receiving those type of questions, not only about residents, but for school choice applications. So that's all good news.
I'm just thinking, in my head, one of the challenges I know we face is we open school and someone shows up that hasn't registered, or the kindergartner who shows up 3 days later going, oh, it's time for getting. Is there a way we can work with the towns maybe to get a message pushed out so that, especially for new residents or those who haven't had a child in school, maybe to notify them to say, hey, don't forget, if your child hasn't been in our district before, you need to reach out and contact us. Maybe it will help us avoid some of those last-minute surprises. I don't know what methods or tools they would have.
We'd have to probably use local access, because we wouldn't have information on them currently, because they haven't registered, obviously, and the town may not if they're new move-ins. So I would think that the local access would be the best way to go with that. But that's a good idea. The census helps us a lot. We've identified through those means. But you're right. If you moved in after the census, but we've kept an eye on who's moving in where and houses being sold. That's one of the things that we do. So we'll continue that, but we can certainly reach out to the local access.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh no. So anyway, it's been very healthy. We have the usual hires, over the summer, and that's gone very, very well. So otherwise, it's been pretty calm, no big issues. So no, it's on one side of the ledger, it has been very calm. And it's been, they're a well-oiled machine, so everyone has done a great job.
Any other items? I'll give the last minute to the school committee to see if there was anything else. Yes. One of our students wants to say something, so I'm going to make an exception.
It's James, though.
Everybody just go, oh, it's James.
Hi, my name is James Poole. I'm an uprising senior. Yeah. And we just want to talk about Freshman Academy real quick, if that's okay. Freshman Academy is a great day for if you have a kid coming up as a freshman to the high school. It's a good orientation day. We bring them in, we bring them around the high school. They can make good bonds with upperclassmen. It's going to be on August 30th this year. So if you know anybody, just have them call the school. They can come into the lobby from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. during the days and grab the registration form, fill it out, and hand it in.
You feed them?
Oh, you betcha we feed them. and we're going to wear them out, so, I mean, they might be asleep before 2 a.m., so that's exciting.
Okay. The next meeting that we have scheduled is August 14th. Finally, I can now say that and have it maybe be true. 6 o'clock, we are meeting in Phillipston. So let's remember we're meeting in Phillipston in August on the 14th at 6 o'clock. I believe, Dr. Kazmat, you'll be on vacation.
I will.
So Ms. Cleese, you'll be there for us, possibly? The 14th of August?
Thank you, Kate.
well, we need someone to keep us in
We'll be fine.
line, so-
One of us will be. One of us will be.
Someone needs to keep us in line.
Someone's gonna keep.
Okay, so our next meeting, August 14th, 6 o'clock in Phillipston. There is no executive session tonight. I would entertain.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor? Aye. None opposed, abstained, we are good.